95% of candidates fail building a story bank that's good enough by their own standards. This is why in today's video I'd like to share with you the 5 most common mistakes building star answers. Okay? The first one I'd like to share with you would be with respect to the situation and task. So what happens here is that many candidates over-focus on presenting a situation and task that's over 30% of the total answer, when in fact the interviewer is actually more interested in the actions you took and also in the results. So what I would suggest you here would be to either consider mixing the situation with the task or the situation with the challenge. If you want to make this more compact, either immediately start with the challenge. This is why the STAR format can also be reframed as the CAR format, the challenge, action, and results. Okay, this would be number one. The second thing I'd like to share with you here is that also with respect to composition, at least 50% of your answer should be your action. Okay, this is what you're selling yourself on, so to speak. Then at least 20% of your star answer should be the results. Okay, if your star answer does not meet this minimum criteria of 50% at least action and at least 20% of results, it means you must do a little bit more work to balance your answer properly. Okay, the third tip I'd like to share with you here would be with respect to your results section. So what happens is that if you would be using the results to sell yourself in a job interview, the best way to achieve that would be to quantify a little bit, to prove a little bit the delta, the impact, the change that you created. It's not always possible to use numbers, but you could also use some sort of metrics to speak about this. But long story short, you should pay particular attention as to how do you present the results with respect to the actions you took in your interview answer. So long story short, use at least one metric that is the most relevant in your results. Okay, the fourth tip I'd like to share with you with respect to your star answers would be to build your stories and role play them at the same time. Okay, so ideally you write down a star answer and then start saying it out loud, ideally in a coaching session, but you could also oversimplify things and record yourself speaking it out loud to see how it sounds, because ultimately what sounds good to you will also sound good to the interviewer as well, right? So role playing your answers is also, is something that works, if you want to improve your star answers. And the fifth tip I'd like to share with you here would be on the more advanced stuff, is that any answer that you give must fit into a behavior. So in other words, you must understand why they ask you a certain interview question. Right? To give an example here, if they ask you something on the lines of, tell me about a time when a product, program, or solution was already receiving good customer feedback, but you decided to do more. What happens here is that 80% of candidates would give an example of it on the lines of when they fixed stuff for the customer, while the other 20% would talk about a situation when they went above and beyond to find something to improve that product, program, or solution beyond their customers' imagination. So they exhibited high standards. Okay, so notice here, if you know that the interviewer is interested in high standards, then you would know to present them with a story that would sell you on your high standards when compared to your bug fixing skills, right? So with respect to your star answers, each of your stories must fit into a core behavior, right? If your story does not fit into a core behavior, then it means you must do some more polishing into that, right? But long story short, start with why. Why does the question get asked, and try to fit into the most common behaviors out there, conflict resolution, deep dives, vision, strategic thinking, learning, innovation, and these sort of things. Right? This is how you prepare the best possible approach. I will just close with one note. In my experience, 98% of candidates who pass interviews with high-performing companies don't even touch the AI, not even to polish their interview answers. So I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.